At 5:30. Thank you, frozen.
All right. Go ahead and stop the music. How you guys doing? What time is it? Can somebody tell me the time? Excuse me, sir. Would you happen to have the time?
It's 5:30. Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
All right, so we got a good one today. So this is our first testimony Tuesday. Um, so I'm sharing this all over my Facebook right now. So if you guys want your friends to get tips from these bomb parents on how to raise genius kids, then go ahead and share it. And if you just think that Warren and Candace are just awesome,
Frozen. Online. I think you're frozen. I don't know if that's our end or yours. Hello? You
all
muted.
right.
Yes.
All right, so they don't want us to be great. You know what I'm saying? But that's all right. They can't stop it. So Warren and Candace, are y'all ready to give us the game on how to raise these genius kids?
Absolutely. We
All
ready
right,
to
so
tell it all.
first of all, just introduce yourself for those people who don't know you. Who are you? What do you guys do? Where do you guys live? And then tell us about those genius kids you have.
I'm Warren Outwards, born and raised south side of Chicago. My background is finance. I work with the city colleges in Chicago as an academic advisor. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I'm rooting for everything black.
I love
Candace
it.
Edwards, a teacher. We are residing in Chicago. We are both also entrepreneurs, and we are very passionate about, making sure that we provide our kids with what they need to be successful as well.
All right, so when you say entrepreneurs, right, what kind of things do you do? Like, because like a lot of parents, when it comes to balancing that life and work balance, it's kind of difficult. But you guys run a pretty sizable, you know, uh, media platform and also work other jobs. So like, just let them know what you do. Maybe not about your jobs. I don't know. You can if you want to. But let's talk about that banging.
Well, we have a platform called I Am Beautiful 365 with a pretty large following, and we mainly focus on just promoting Black excellence, be it a Black business or anything positive going on in the Black community. We think it's important for us to write our own narrative and stop allowing other people to tell our story. So that's what we do there. The biggest thing that we've been working on that platform is Reading with Monroe, which is a show we created with our At the time, she was 4 or 5. She was a 4 or 5 when we started, and she's 6 now. So she reads stories. She's at a pretty decent reading level, so she reads stories. We were doing it every day, but it was exhausting her. So now we're going down to once a week. But she reads stories for anybody who's interested in sitting down and listening.
I love it. I watch that show. I catch that show. And Monroe has been reading her little self off. Like I remember when Monroe was first learning how to read, and now she's just reading all these books and teaching kids how to read. And it's like it seemed like it happened overnight. So on that topic, we want to figure out how you got all these geniuses, because I know Madison, didn't Madison win like a science fair or something this year? So they've been rocking out this year. So we want to know how you got there, right? So you have some kids who are winning. Tell me how great your kids are, so I know they're telling y'all every day how amazing your kids are. So we want to know kind of where you started and how you got to where you are.
Well, Warren is more familiar with the Chicago public schools.
Madison, your oldest, was first going to school. What were the things that you were looking for in the school?
Well, because we reside in Chicago, the schools are, for lack of a better word, segregated. So depending on where you live at, it determines if you're going to be attending a good or a bad school. So CPS has a system where you could see what level school is. So one of the first things we were looking for was a level 1 school. A level 1 school is pretty good school overall. So that was the first criteria that we were looking for. The second thing we were looking for was a school that had a diverse population. We wanted our kids' academic experience to kind of be more like a real world experience where they got to engage with people of different cultures and backgrounds. And then lastly, we wanted somewhere overall safe. A lot of times on the news from the south side of Chicago,
All right. So we are back. Had some technical issues. We're gonna get these answers from you guys, Edward Family. So the internet dropped. I don't know what's going on, but we are back, and let's make this quick before the internet drop again. All right. So what were the things you said you were looking for at school when you first had to enroll your kids in school?
When we first had to enroll our kids in school, the first thing I looked for was what level school it was. Because in Chicago, the level determines how the school is performing. So we wanted our kids to attend a level one school. The other thing we looked for was a school that was diverse. We wanted our kids to attend a school that had a diverse population that kind of was reflective of what the real world looked like. And then lastly, we wanted somewhere safe where we didn't have to worry about our kids getting into fights or gang violence. In Chicago, a lot of times it's a lot of shooting and just senseless violence. And that's something that we ain't want to have to worry about. So it was level one, diversity and safety.
Okay. So how has that list changed since you joined the 530 Scholars and since you just got more experience as a parent with a child in school?
Uh, well, right now, the number one thing that we value most is a school that is reflective of our background. When we went the route of going to a diverse school, we had some racial issues that we ain't necessarily want to have to deal with. And as a result, we immediately pulled our daughter out of that school. Since then, because now we go on the route of a predominantly black school, the experience has been totally different. It feels more like a family. It's more welcoming. I believe it's helping to improve my daughter's self-confidence and belief in herself, and her identity. I think all of that is intact. The other thing we also look for a progressive principal and an active PTA, so that if changes need to be made or different things need to be implemented, we want somebody who keeps an open line of communication so that those things can happen. And lastly, not necessarily what I look for from the school, but I understand the importance having a team or coach, academic coach to help us navigate the arena.
Gotcha. All right. So you said diversity was a big deal for you in the beginning, and then you said it kind of like switched to like just more a representative of like black teachers, or your daughter seeing black teachers, black staff who kind of like loved on them. What was the drawback of diversity? Like what was the con of the diversity in the school, or was there a con?
Um, Initially, I don't think that. I mean, initially we felt comfortable with the environment, but when we noticed that, like, Madison's our oldest, so we noticed that she really wasn't being challenged. She was in kindergarten, and they would give like a work packet for the week, and we were telling the teacher, "Oh, well, she's finishing this packet in a day," and like just asking for resources or things like that. We were easily pushed to the side. They said, "Well, I think the biggest thing I remember was her saying that our daughter wasn't gifted," and
Whoa.
and we weren't saying that she was gifted. We were just saying,
Hmm.
"Hey, this is too easy. What else can you give us?" Because initially, I felt like once we got her prepared for kindergarten, okay, cool. Now she's in school. Now they can handle her progression. But that
Hmm.
wasn't the case. And I was ignorant in that fact. I just assumed, okay, we do everything we do on the front end, and the school can handle it from there. And you can't do that. Like, you can never not be a part of your child's education. But then with our second daughter, when we were in a predominantly black school, they came to us and said, well, she's performing way better than most of the students in the class. Do you mind if we, experiment with moving her up to see if she can work with first grade? Then they came back and said, well, let's see if she'll work with second. And they tested her. They cared about where she was. They gave us the resources like, hey, y'all need to get her and select. Like, they gave us everything we needed. We didn't have to ask for anything. We knew going into it, she was above the kindergarten level, but because of our previous experience, like, we never even spoke to the teacher about it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
All right. I think y'all cut off, but I think we got the gist of it. So how do you think those two different experiences affected their confidence? Do you see
I
like a
feel
difference in
now.
their confidence?
Oh, yeah, Monroe, she's completely different than Madison academically. Madison questions herself a lot. I think she questions herself too much. So these small wins, or they're not small, these big wins that she's been having, like, we see it building her confidence, but initially going into it, I don't feel like she lacked a lot of it. And I mean, Monroe, she just goes with it. It doesn't matter what it is. We did the hit the button competition with y'all. She could have been going up against a fourth grader. She really didn't care. Just as long as she got to compete, and she's like, "Oh man, that was fun." But with Madison, she's comparing herself to the other person a lot. Well, what if they're smarter than me, or what if they do better than me? And Monroe does not struggle with that at all. So it's definitely a difference in their confidence. But we see it shifting with Madison since, of course, working with you all and just helping to build her in certain areas and knowing what to work on with her.
Yeah, it's interesting that those dynamics happen with your kids, because we had our daughter in Oak Park, and it was the same thing. She tested a perfect going in on the Oak Park test. And the teacher had my daughter in her class for 3 months before she realized that my daughter could read. And it's so important now. Like, in hindsight, I'm glad we got out of the situation, first of all. But in hindsight, I just know that it's so important for us to kind of catch that at an early age, because once you ruin a child's confidence, it's like you're breaking that foundation, and it's just really, really difficult to build it back up. During our State of the Black Union, or State of the Black Student, one of the panelists, she made a statement that's been with me ever since, when she said she could tell the difference between African kids and Black kids when she went to a lot of schools, because of the way that the African kid walked, because they walked with such confidence, because they hadn't been beaten down yet. And I think, like, a lot of times, on purpose, and sometimes just like on accident. It's like unconsciously, not on accident, but unconsciously. The system, tells our kids that they're not brilliant. And then our kids start to believe it. When we love on each other and we tell each other we're brilliant, we tell our kids they're brilliant, and they start to believe that also. And I think that's just very, very important. And I think that might be my number one thing when I'm my number one priority when I'm choosing the school now, is find a school that is going to love on my kid and give them opportunities to be brilliant, and encourage them being brilliant. Your camera went off. I don't know if you guys know that, but I have another question. So, what was your biggest failure as a parent in education?
I would say not being prepared or informed. We learned a lot of things with Madison, like the diversity piece, and I feel like that set us and her back a little bit academically compared to where she could have been. And we grew a lot from that experience, and we learned a lot. We didn't make those same mistakes with Midas and Monroe, and as a result, they are getting off to a fast start, and they have a real solid foundation.
All right. So, what's your greatest accomplishment, or what's your greatest win as a parent?
I would say my greatest win as a parent is having the mindset to speak to others' parents with that.
Uh-oh. We lost you guys again. We are experiencing so much difficulty with this technology today. We'll try to get them back on one more time. If it doesn't work, then we'll just have to record this session. And thank you guys for bearing with us. So let's see if they can get back on. If not, we'll stop it, record it, and post it on the Facebook a little later today, or maybe tomorrow. All right, so we're gonna just play our favorite song in the meantime. All right, so let's see. All right, so we are having quite the time here. All right, so let's get straight to the good questions. All right, so you said your win was being able to talk to other parents and just get them advice on and so forth. So what advice would you give a parent who has a child going into the primary grade?
I would say get as involved as you can. It's sometimes difficult for us because we do work a lot, but get as involved as you can and don't be afraid to ask questions. You want to get to know the people who have already been there before you, whether it be the teacher or other parents. I guess that's one thing I would say. And also you need to use outside resources because I think I said earlier.
All right. We're going to record this for you guys. We keep losing connection. We got to record it. We'll figure it out. All right. So I'm going to play the song. We're going to figure out our IT and we'll get back with you.